Here we go.
Yes.
Hi, you guys.
Hey,
Hi,
everybody.
dolls.
Nice to see everybody, and we welcome you into the foundational color class where we're going to talk about theory. We're going to talk about some of the effects of formulating and just some of the background and just get the basic overall fundamentals of color. You excited?
I am. I'm very excited. So before we hop in, some of you are very familiar with who we are, some are not. So let us introduce ourselves. I am Jenny B of Jenny B's Dollhouse, and this is my wonderful mother, Belinda K. Baker, who is a renowned educator. She was an educator for Design Essentials for over 20 years, the head of the education department, to be precise. Okay? And for all of you that always want to know how I got to where I am, the foundation that I have, I was able to achieve that through the tutelage of Belinda K. Baker. And I have now convinced her to give that to you guys. Okay?
Okay, you guys. So first we're going to get into just color theory in itself. This is what this class is about. It's the foundation of color theory, because to our surprise, we found out a lot of people don't understand color. Just the basics of it. And it is so important to understand color when it comes to just basic hair care, as well as all of us, or so many of us, are into extensions now. So you have to understand how to do color when it's coming to your extensions so that you aren't trashing the extensions and then blaming it on the company. Okay?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've created the ebook that actually supports everything that we're going to be talking about, and it's broken down into our basic and our advanced. And so we're going to talk through quite a bit of information. Don't get rattled. At the end of the day, I always like to say, give the analysis. Why is foundational building so important? You would never imagine that you were building a house, and that house, they started framing on dirt, and there was no foundational support, no concrete poured. It hadn't cured, it hadn't settled, it hadn't hardened, so that when you put all the weight of the framework on top of it, it had something to support. Color's the same way. The foundational piece of theory allows you to take it from your basics to your most advanced. And in doing so, it takes your mastery of styling, whether that's natural hair, whether that is extensions, whether that is, hair that's compromised. You feel completely in control. And that's what this class, I promise you, this class is going to give you that foundational structure that allows you to be able to take clients who need color, talk your clients into colors that enhance their hair, and most importantly, if you're doing extension work, maintain extension quality and don't compromise the investment that you've put into quality hair by the color technique that you choose. So I'm excited about today.
Me too.
Okay.
I really am.
All right.
Because we about to teach y'all how to get to the bag. Because a lot of people skip over color in general because they're terrified of it.
Yes.
But color is not scary if you understand the basics.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
All right.
An aspect here. Color is light. Period. Light is energy. And the way that we read color is through the energy or the wavelength energy that is given us. And so when you see color, understand that you need to start in actually looking at it and seeing it for the depth, the dimension, and the quality of that color. And as you start to see in color and breathe in color and live in color, it'll become so familiar to you that the fear aspect of it is taken away. Mood. Okay. Have you ever went into a room and it just changed your atmosphere just by going into the room? Color has that effect. And so where do we start when we start talking about color and the effects that it has on us? First and foremost, understand that every color that you will see comes from three predominant colors. is 3 colors that make every hue, every shade, every tone that you will see. And as we go into that foundation, what we call foundational color law, the reason that's the truth is that it's by nature. And by nature, you can't change that. And so the very fundamental aspect of understanding color is to know that every color that you will see comes from 3 primary colors. So remember we were talking about the 3 true colors that as a colorist you make all colors from. You create colors and you can correct colors from the foundation of these 3 primary colors. And those are blue, which is your largest, red, which is going to be your deepest, and yellow, which is going to be your lightest. Blue is you're going to see that removed pretty quickly when you start to do a lightening effect. That is one of the largest molecules that's in the hair shaft. It's going to be represented by your lower level colors like your black and your darkest brown, and so you're going to see that right away. Your red is just that deep color. You know.
Yeah, red is deep. And as stylists, the 2 main colors that we hate touching, red and black. That is because black holds all the colors. Okay, and again, if we're saying red has the most depth, it is hard to get away from that, as well as when you're doing blondes. When you're lifting and you have to tone out brass and it looks orangey or it doesn't have a true blonde color. That is that red undertone that is all the way deep into that hair follicle.
Yes.
Okay? Which is why I know I'm a permanent red. I've been red for so long at this point, like all I can do is go dark. And that's a whole nother class because that's advancing because there is a way to cancel red.
Yes.
Okay? But you have to know how to do it.
Yes. Yes. And it all starts with these primary colors and understanding foundational color law. And that's what we're talking about today. Again, blue, red, and yellow. Those are your primary colors. They are going to allow you as a colorist to create and correct any tone or color that you're wanting to do for your clients, okay? And then that takes us right into what we call our secondary colors. So from those 3 colors, when you take and you combine those together in equal portions, you're going to get what we call secondary colors. That's where you're going to see your oranges, your greens, your violet. That's going to open up a complete door for you to be able to now color specifically for your clients according to the tone of their skin, according to how that hair may lighten, and you now need to do some correcting or some blending. This is where I have the most fun as a colorist. As a master colorist, this is where I have the most fun, is that being able to create custom colors that your clients are going to love. Understanding foundational color law, it can seem so slow sometimes. It can seem like, well, why do I need to do that? I'm just going to use this color name versus another. But when you understand the principles of color, it's amazing how confident you walk into doing color.
Yeah.
Your prices change. Your time allotment changes, and now you can use this foundational color law in order to create a whole new arena for you and your clients. Okay, so we're going to now show you the full color spectrum right here. Primary, blue, yellow, red. When blue and yellow are mixed together, we got green. When red and yellow are mixed together, we got orange. And when red and blue are mixed together, we got violet. Now let's go to tertiary, 6 of them. We're going to always mix the primary first with the adjacent secondary. So that means we have a red primary, Our adjacent secondary that was made is violet. So we end up with a red violet color. Not violet, not red, but red violet. Primary always goes first. We have our red. And our secondary that was created is orange. We end up with a red orange adjacent. Primary yellow goes first. It's always the primary that's the dominant over a secondary. Our yellow with our orange, yellow orange. Our yellow primary with our second green, secondary, yellow with our green. Beautiful yellow green. Our primary blue, always first. Primary is always first, okay? Our secondary was green. A blue-green. We're going to talk about these two because these are the canceling agents for a lot of that brassy red that we see in our hair tones. Primary blue with our secondary violet. It gives us a blue violet, which we use a lot for our gray colored clients. This is the spectrum of the color wheel right here. Primaries, secondaries, tertiaries.
Jen has violet, red.
So if someone came and was asking for Jennifer's color and you put just a red on their hair, they could never get violet
No.
red.
Because I have, it's a violet red, but it has more blue. That gives it more of that plumish red color. Okay? Again, understanding color formula. And when I go to my brighter reds, I have less blue. And it's more of the primary color red than it is blue. So understanding what creates what
Yes.
and how to get that color that you're desiring
Yes.
makes all the difference.
Yes. And remember what we said, it all started with 3 colors. By law, nature created 3 basic colors, and from that we're talking all of these options and choices. So we talked about primary colors, and we talked about our secondary colors. Secondary color is 2 primaries mixed together in equal portions to give us what we call our secondary colors. And then when we go to that next level, tertiary. You know how long it took a lot of us to learn how to say tertiary?
That's like the word Schwarzkopf.
Schwarzkopf.
That, listen, we know what you're saying when you say it, okay? Because most of us still don't know how to pronounce it, but your tertiary colors, that is where you're doing a mixture of 3, but one is more predominant than the other, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you just now say, take that secondary color that you just created, okay? You created the secondary color by mixing 2 primary colors. And now you're going to add in what we call the adjacent primary color to that secondary color. And that's how you're going to end up with 6 additional colors. And I want to say that what we're talking is base colors. What we're talking is foundational. This allows you to be able to look at a color chart and look at a color box and know what it is that you're going to get inside of that that color that you're getting ready to use. So with our tertiary colors, we have 6, okay? We have that orange that we created earlier. And I want you to stop and think, what was orange made from?
Red and yellow.
Red and yellow. And then next to that is another yellow, and we're going to put those together and we come up with a red orange, right? Then we have a yellow orange. We have a yellow green. We have a blue green, and we have a blue violet, and we have a red violet. Now let me say this. When we do our hands-on class, I actually will walk you through being able to create your color chart that fundamentally will begin to live in your head just from the demonstration that I'm able to actually show you how to create it. So that you see where your primary colors are. You see where your tertiary colors are. Then you see where in between each one of those are those tertiary colors that we just spoke about. And you now can get an understanding of why they're saying a red orange. A red orange being that you have more red with a little yellow in it. The yellow orange meaning you have more yellow with a little red in it. The yellow green meaning you have more yellow with a little blue in it. The blue green meaning you have a lot of blue with a little yellow in it. The blue violet meaning a lot of blue with a little red. And the red violet is more red with a little blue.
When I go brighter, if you guys notice when I'm a brighter red, that is that. I'm a visual of the red.
Very much so. Very much so.
Color levels, okay? We're just gonna like touch on it because again, this is a very in-depth portion as well, but we want you to get the understanding of it first. So we are gonna be circling back around with an advanced class just so we can go a little bit deeper, but we do not want to do too much at first. Okay, because it can be a lot, but the color level system is very important in understanding what your underlying pigments are when it comes to your levels when you're looking at these different color systems in these brands. Okay, now each brand still has particular formulations, so you need to be able to understand them in that way, but the basis of it is the same across the board, but some may have more heavier pigmentation in certain areas than the other. Okay, so when we're thinking about the levels of color, when you're thinking about black, that is your number 1. That is a blue or a violet underlying pigment. Okay, and again, the reason we say that black is so hard to get away from, if it's a blue or violet, what are the 2 primary colors in that? Okay, you're thinking about the primary colors. If it's a violet, that means it has mixed red and blue together. And we are saying red is our most in-depth color.
Right.
Which is why it is so difficult to get away from black.
Right.
Okay?
Right. And I think it's important to understand, what is the level system in terms of this is a fundamental way that the manufacturers have come together in order to have us understand how to use their color. It gives us as colorists an understanding of where we begin and versus where we want to end up in color, whether or not that's going to require a permanent color, whether or not we're going to have to decolorize the hair, whether or not we're going to use a, semi or demi-permanent color in order to achieve what we're looking for. So the level system is a fundamental way of measuring how light to how dark or how dark to how light the hair is. At each one of those levels, you're going to have, as Jen was saying, an underlying pigment. Meaning that that law of color, those 3 colors that we started with earlier, exist on this level system. And up underneath what our eye is looking at and seeing on that natural hair or on artificial pigmented hair, there is a underlying color base that we have to deal with. Okay, so as Jen was just mentioning about the level 1 being the darkest, being the deepest, it is categorized as black. And in general, all the way up to a level 12. As we go up, we get lighter. As we go up, we have more of those pigments that we were talking about that's still living and existing underneath. That when we start to lighten, we're going to start exposing what's fundamentally there. And so generally I like to just kind of teach it from realizing that between a level 1 to a level 3, those are going to be our darkest colors. From a 4 to a 7, that's going to be our middle range colors. And from an 8 to a 12 will be our lightest colors. Now the reason I break that down like that is that understand that in your darkest area, that lightening, you're going to see that fundamentally happening pretty quickly. In most cases, as long as the conditions are, pretty normal.
Yeah.
When you get to that middle range, that's where that red lives.
Yep.
That 4 to 7. And so that's where you're going to find yourself. If you've ever lightened extensions,
Just with bleach.
you will see that more predominantly than anything is that it gets to that really brassy state and it lives in that brassy state. Okay? And then lightening someone to get to a blonder state, because that's what I want to do this summer.
Yeah.
Is have my blonde back. And knowing then that I've got to go through several layers to get to a beautiful blonde,
Yeah.
color in the end, right? So when we do our advanced class, we really like to break down those underlying levels of base color in there, because there's generally never, you look at it, there's never one underlying pigment.
No, it's several. It could be 1 to 2 to 3. It's, again, understanding the basics of it, but then also you need to learn the brand that you're using. Okay? Because even when I'm coloring, you guys ask me what color I use. When it comes to my extensions, I tend to use one particular color line over another because their pigments are equal. So it's not heavier on one side than the other, so it gives me a more true tone when I'm coloring extensions. But then when I'm coloring hair, I use another color line because they go heavier in the reds and the coppers and those color tones, and it just does something different on real hair. And when I say real hair, I'm meaning hair that is still alive, hair that is still attached to a living, breathing person. Extensions are no longer living, viable hair follicles. So that is where, again, you have to understand those details as well and how to alter your color formulations from extensions to real hair.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No two lighteners work the same.
No.
No two brands of peroxide perform the speed of lightening as others. And so, again, it's important to understand the brand that you're using. Understand, and if I had to say to anyone, the importance of knowing this level system, knowing the fundamental foundational information that the level system gives you so that you become a master colorist in working with a brand that you get to know and not being afraid of color in itself,
Because color is, once you understand it, it's not scary. Once you understand it's not scary at all, you can formulate from anything once you understand color, the basics of it. No matter what the brand is, you should be able to formulate from it. And again, our goal is to educate you guys on understanding these things so that you are able to add to your bottom line in the salon. You should always be adding services. Let's get away from the days of all we trying to do is color some hair black. Okay? Let's get away from that because you're missing a whole bag by doing that. All right? Because, Mommy, where does your color pricing start?
My base color is $275, and so on an average, if I'm doing color, I'm
And when you're saying base,
base.
what is $275 going to give somebody?
It's going to give them great coverage. It's going to give them a demi-permanent color. It's going to give them a formulated color for a single coverage. Then I go into what I call a complex color. complex starts at $375, and that's if I am mixing or custom blending or I'm color correcting on your color in order to give you a tone, a specific tone. Then we add in highlights, we add in lowlights, we do tonal or what I call dimensional
Right.
coloring. Anything that takes me into a blended effect, I'm going to get paid for.
And this is why she is a master colorist. This is also why when I got into hair school and I saw how much those tickets were at the front desk from her clients paying, I was like, oh, I need to learn color. Like, I need to master color, extensions and color, period. That's what I need to learn. That's what I need to master, because that's where the money was. Because that, even then, when she was doing sew-in, she was doing complex colors on people's extensions that matched the color that she had already done to their natural hair. So that ticket just doubled when they got up to their counter. And guess what? They did not hesitate. They did not flinch. That card was swiped. That cash was pulled out. And they loved it.
Absolutely.
Okay, because it's coupled also with an experience. They come into the salon, they get an experience, and then they get a master colorist, a master extensionist. Like, it's a whole package. So this is why we're saying you're missing a bag if you're not understanding color and you're running from it and you're scared of it. Because even with my color on extensions, my base for extensions for a singular color starts at $65 per bundle. Per bundle. Okay, that's for my tape ends, that's for my eye tips, that's for if I'm coloring hair for microlinks, per bundle. And so when it comes to eye tips, they can have 5 bundles. That is 65 times 5 for a single color. Single. That's not even me getting into my complex colors and my dimensional colors. Okay?
That's right.
So you're missing a whole bag and a whole added on service with not understanding color. But that is why you're here today.
Absolutely.
So that you can.
And I commend you. I commend you for being here, for taking the basics, for building on the foundation. You know, when we're talking about these particular prices, we're not talking about charging just because you think you deserve it. We're charging it because we have spent the time, we have studied, and we have mastered the craft of color. So when you start talking about a $375 and up color application, plus their shampoo, plus their steam hydration, plus their cup, that is not going to be one of those tickets where you're not giving quality.
Right. You still have to give quality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You cannot give piss poor service with that type of ticket price.
No.
Okay? At
No.
all. And
No.
even down to your appearance. Okay? Your appearance has to, I'm not saying you got to come in here like completely beat down, like, you know, the heels on everything. Now, mind you, when I first started my career, I did. Okay? I did. I followed what my mentor was doing, and my mentor showed up to work every single day on 10. Heels, hair, makeup, outfit, everything on point. So when they got up there to that counter and it was time to check out, again, they did not hesitate because they got a full experience. A full experience that added up to that price point of what they were being charged.
Absolutely. And you never know what somebody is going through. And you never know what you mean to them. And you never know what they're looking for. The color part is an addition to the experience of being with you, sharing with you, and you giving them 100% of you showing up to be there for them.
Absolutely.
And that's what this training is about, is giving you the knowledge to be able to take it back and to personalize it so that it has an effect in your business.
Absolutely.
Period.
Period, poo. All right. A little interlude is over. All right. So now we're going into
How color works. And This is again understanding that color. When you are looking at this tube, of color, right? Okay.
and what we have now is the
Yes.
Samori.
Okay. So inside of here, there is a set alkalinity.
Okay.
It's done. That's what the company created. That whether it's the Amore, the Pravana, the Color Insider, all of them have a pre-measured amount of alkalinity. Okay. And the reason that's important is that Amore doesn't work the same as Pravana.
No.
So if I try to go in and treat one company brand like another company brand, I'm going to get poor results, and it is not the fault of the color brand. It is not understanding what's inside of that tube that you're getting ready to actually mix. You can't use this product without mixing because the alkaline nature of the product needs an activator to actually create the action. Okay? And so that's when we start to talk about the difference between the role of what the peroxide or the activator or the catalyst, I'm thinking of some of the names that they use, for it. They all mean the same thing. That is where the speed to release this volatile product in this tube happens. So when I come in and I take my Pravana and I mix it with the activator, with the developer, I get a volatile action. Ooh. Okay?
I thought I was going to fall.
It popped.
It did. Okay.
A volatile action.
Okay.
That is funny. So I do want to say that we're talking about this with what we call oxidative colors. Okay? You have those things that are not oxidative colors. They just come straight out. You pour it on semi-permanent colors. It's like a coating.
It just sits on top of the hair. Those are the ones that rinse right off.
Correct.
Okay.
They are activated by heat. So when you put them on and you put it with heat, the heat is going to allow that cuticle to swell open and give you more porosity, opportunities for the color to go down inside, get locked on that top layer, and boom, we're done. Now you start to talk about the oxidative, and in the ebook in particular, you're going to find a lot of this around page 19, page 20, where we're talking about non-oxidative colors and oxidative colors. Anytime you have a product that is inside a tube, that is inside a bottle, that you must mix together, you are now talking about using the developer to do 3 roles, right? We got to fracture the natural pigment. So the natural pigment is going to get disturbed, okay? And the peroxide is going to also activate with the dye and the tint that's inside of the tube in order for it to carry that into the hair shaft in order to develop that color molecule inside and have it get bigger and stay inside longer. Okay? 3 roles of why this is important. And no two do the same.
No.
No two will do the same. So in the advanced class, we talk about the difference between developers that are liquid, developers that are cream, developers that are oil-based, developers that are blended specifically for that particular color, because you can't use other colors to blend with certain ones because they've been made specifically for them.
And it's crazy because each one of these that we actually are using here as an example, they each do have a different base to how they operate.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm saying this correctly, Color Insider is oil-based. Correct?
Oil-based and demi only. So 2 levels lift only will you get from Color Insider. But you will get a higher concentration of color.
Yep. And what is Amori? What's his base?
Amori has an oil base.
Amori is an oil base, but Amori, the way this formulated, I like it because they're high lift colors. Like their colors actually high lift. I love using Amori for reds on my extensions when I want a high lift red because I do not have to pre-lift, because it's going to automatically lift it if I go to their higher lift red. Okay. But then I do have to go back behind it and use a semi because their pigment in red is not heavy. It's not heavy in a red pigment, which means that I have to go back behind it to get the red that we're looking for and not a ginger. Okay.
Yes. And that kind of goes back to, again, in the advanced class, we actually will show them the higher the lift you get, the lower the pigment weight is in the bottle or in the tube. You can't have both.
No.
So that's why you're going back in and repigmenting the hair after you've gotten that lift.
Versus when I use Pravana on my natural hair with red, I get this red very effortlessly, again, without having to do any high lifting, but I know it's not going to be like that vibrant candy apple red. And I'm okay with that, okay? Because this has a more heavy pigment in red, the Pravana, but it doesn't lift as high. Okay, so we literally just gave you 2 examples of 2 different color lines that are going to give you red lift for 2 different results. Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we were speaking earlier about. Know your brands and become loyal to those brands. Find the brands that work for you and understand what they're going to deliver for you in those cases. 3 totally different lines for 3 totally different needs for the clients, right? And understand that when we are dealing with peroxide, you'll be able to see that it's designed for your oxidative colors to activate the alkalinity in the tint that's in the tube or the bottle, and it's going to give you different speeds, as Jen was saying earlier. One that lifts all the way through gives you vibrant red, one that lifts but leaves you more pigment in the red. So you just understand that speed is being controlled by the peroxide, the lifting. Okay?
Yep.
All right. So, hair structure. I need y'all to not tear hair up.
Please. Okay?
Coloring isn't about getting there fast, quick, and in a hurry. It's about control. It's about understanding the structure of hair and what you're doing to the structure of hair as you go through and choose the type of color you're going to use for that client. Okay?